Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the high-stakes race for the future of mobility, bringing you a mix of great news and key insights. It's a real-time industrial evolution that is fundamentally rewriting how the world gets around.
Our goal today is to provide massive value while keeping things light and relaxed. And honestly, I just want to pause and say thanks for being such a wonderful audience. We're so glad you're here to explore this exciting, shifting landscape of how we'll all drive in the future. So let's jump right in.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 2026 mobility race, look at Volkswagen's radical restructuring, explore Stellantis and agile partnerships, and Renault's independent tech bet. Finally, we'll examine a united European front and the ultimate software survival test.
Section 1. The 2026 mobility race. The point of no return for European automakers. So right now, European automakers are caught in a massive pincer movement. You've got aggressive Chinese scaling on one side and a massive global shift toward electrification on the other. Because of this, 2026 isn't just a date on the calendar, it's a hard deadline. It's the absolute point of no return, where these legacy manufacturers must either adapt their structural models right now or face permanent marginalization by much more agile global competitors. It is literally adapt or be left behind.
Moving on to Section 2, Volkswagen's radical restructuring, transitioning from high-volume hardware to a leaner software entity.
Let's look at how this plays out for Volkswagen. The traditional anchor of European industrial might is currently facing a deeply painful structural optimization. To really grasp why this restructuring is so urgent, just look at the sheer scale of the challenge. We're talking about a precipitous 20% drop in Volkswagen's sales within the Chinese market. For years, China was their primary profit engine. Losing that much ground? Well, that forces immediate, drastic action.
To survive this sharp global reduction in thermal engine demand, Volkswagen is attempting a titanic cultural shift. They have to pivot from a century-old mechanical culture into a much leaner, code-driven one. They are reducing legacy capacity, making the incredibly tough call to close multiple European production facilities just to contain costs, and betting the whole shebang on integrating artificial intelligence and digitalization across their entire value chain.
Section 3. Stellantis and Agile Partnerships, the pragmatic, asset-light strategy. Now, in stark contrast to Volkswagen's massive internal restructuring, Stellantis is utilizing an asset-light framework. They're prioritizing financial containment and production flexibility. Imagine your next car purchase for a second. Thanks to the Leapmotor Alliance, Stellantis has secured exclusive rights to produce and sell this Chinese EV technology globally. For you, the consumer, this means faster access to highly affordable electric mobility, but all under a trusted, established European distribution and service umbrella. Pretty clever, right?
On to Section 4, Renault's independent tech bet, betting everything on internal specialization.
This brilliantly illustrates the strategic divide in the industry right now. On one hand, Stellantis accepts reliance on external partners like Leapmotor to get speed and cost savings, using multi-energy platforms to adjust to consumer demand in real time. But on the other hand, Renault completely rejects the partnership-heavy model. Actually, they're accepting massive initial costs to build Ampere, which is an internal entity dedicated exclusively to European EV development. Renault is banking heavily on their iconic heritage, think the Renault 5, and total technological independence.
Which brings us to Section 5, a united European front, shared demands to ensure the survival of local manufacturing.
Despite these deeply divergent corporate philosophies, these competitors recognize their systemic regional disadvantages, so they've actually formed a united bloc to petition the European Union. By advocating for specific policies, automakers are trying to prevent the hollowing out of Europe's industrial base. They're asking for super credits to reward local European EV production, strong incentives to keep city cars affordable for the mass market, and absolute strategic independence in battery production and chemistry. They want to avoid losing the vehicle's economic value to overseas suppliers. It's a survival tactic, plain and simple.
Section 6. The software survival test. Navigating the end of the product-object era.
We are navigating a massive paradigm shift here. For a century, success meant forging the best steel and optimizing complex mechanics. Today, excellent hardware is just the baseline. It's merely a commodity. The car is no longer a finished product. It's an evolving platform. It is literally a smartphone on wheels. And the rule of this new era is crystal clear. Whoever owns the car's digital architecture, whoever writes the code, completely owns the relationship with the customer.
And this leads us to the brutal paradox of software development, known as technological servitude. If European brands fail to create competitive software ecosystems, they face severe value degradation. They risk becoming mere body shops, just stamping the metal shells, while tech giants swoop in to capture all the high profit margins from software subscriptions, driving data, and digital services. It's a huge risk.
Ultimately, as we summarize this explainer, you can see each brand is placing a heavily calculated bet. Volkswagen is restructuring but risks the rapid obsolescence of its thermal exports. Stellantis is prioritizing flexibility, but that means relying heavily on geopolitical partnerships. And Renault is doubling down on specialization, which requires massive upfront capital expenditure. They're all testing whether consumers will value a car for its massive scale, its affordable agility, or its homegrown technological pride.
As we approach this definitive rupture between two eras, we are entering a phase of digital Darwinism. It's an absolutely fascinating time to be a driver. Ask yourself, what will truly matter to you when you sit behind the wheel of your next vehicle? Will the brand be defined by who built the shell or who wrote the code? Thanks again for joining us, and keep your eyes on 2026.